In this video, our primary focus is how to set productivity goals for the various departments at a property and including how to spot trends for under and overstaffing. You can set productivity goals directly in your labor cockpit. However, best practice is to do it in the budget and forecast module. This module is also referred to as target and forecast. Access it via the main menu. As in all other modules in PMI, all text with blue font has a drop-down box. If you have access to several properties, choose the one you want to work with. All profit centers are here. You can choose to view in hour or FTE, and in this example, I've chosen hour. I find also that the year view is most suitable when working with productivity, as then I have a full overview of months past, present, and future, all on one screen. Tools functionality is explained in another video, and view options allows you to customize your screen so you are able to see everything from budget, your forecast, actual, and last year all on the same screen. And if you are viewing your room's forecast, you are also able to view segments. All departments have a budget and forecast. This contains all the figures for your revenue, the cost driver, what the productivity per month breakdown is, how many hours are needed per month, your average hourly rate, which would include the social costs, and so on. So a budget is set once a year for the upcoming year. A budget season can be anything from May to September. So adhere to your company policy in regards to this. And as a monthly routine, you have the possibility to view and edit the forecast figures for the upcoming months. So if we wanted to do any changes for March, which is next month, we would have until the 28th of February to do the changes. And the question that needs answering is, the productivity goal that was set when this budget was made, is it still applicable today? This is of course all dependent on various parameters such as business mix or even the activity currently in your city, and so on. Each department has their own goals, so we will take a minute to just go through a couple of examples. If I choose front office, for example, hover over the figure here, it shows me what the cost driver for this specific department is. And the cost driver here is room nights, same day. So the productivity for the front office department is calculated by how many check-in and check-out rooms is completed per worked hour. For breakfast, at this property here, it's guest nights previous day, and then it is called covers. So how many covers are served per worked hour? That is what the productivity is based on. And then another example, housekeeping. Here the cost driver is room nights previous day, and the productivity is calculated by how many rooms are cleaned per worked hour. And then one last one, the restaurant. How much food and beverage revenue is generated per worked hour? So let's see if we have a good target set in the front office department. Best practice is to start with comparing to last year. In our example, this property was open last year. If it was closed, then it would have had 0 in last year. There's also an average year for the entire 2021. We compare last year to forecast. Usually, there is a directive from your head office with target setting. Budget that is set once a year as per your property instructions, and the forecast is then updated each month. Better than last year or on par is usually a good starting point. However, bear in mind that it needs to be realistic. The live forecast is the actual amount for the past months. So for January, the figures tells us that front office had a monthly forecast set to 1,232 hours. However, they ended up using 1,680 hours, which is more than last year and the budget. And if we take a look at the cost driver, it's 2,509. So roughly 80 room nights more than expected. However, the figures clearly show they have been unproductive in comparison to the set target. And you can compare it then to Smart last year as well as what the budget was. And if we look to February, which is the current month, to see how they are doing, the forecast was 2.22, and that was 1,386 hours that they had forecasted based on 3,072 room nights. However, looking a little bit closely, I can see that the room nights has actually increased by over 1,700. So 4,808 room nights to be exact. So of course, they needed more hours. And the live forecast hours here, it shows that they have used 1,829 hours to date. So all in all, they are actually looking quite good for February. So the live forecast for productivity currently stands on 2.63 versus last year of 2.51 and the budget of 2.66. Let's take a look at next month and see what the figures says. Here it shows me that on the live forecast right now we have 4,650 room nights. And for that, we are saying we need over 2,000 hours. There already a little red flag goes up because we definitely don't need that many hours to take care of that amount of room nights. So first things first, let's chat to the front office manager. Has she checked her schedule? Is the schedule that is in the system correct? Is all the shifts in the timekeeping system? We also know that front office will be having training next month. So here we also need to go in and verify, double check that the hours are correct. So now there's been a good dialogue with the front office manager, and we've been able to establish that she needs approximately 1,233 hours to ensure that everything is taken care of at the front desk, ensuring our service levels are maintained. So that is what we will input on the forecast. And then if you take a look here to the left, you can see that the live forecast is actually on 3.90. So that looks much better than what we had earlier when we had over 2,000 hours. So when you change the productivity, the hours changes automatically and vice versa. So once you've changed the figures, save here in the budget and forecast module, and it will automatically appear in the front office cockpit. Then to see if the set productivity is being followed, compare the productive hours, the blue bars here, with a smart forecast, which is the target set in the forecast. This way it's very easy to see if the yellow line is being followed or not. And here's an example of 2 days where there is used too many hours. And in the second example here, this property has several days where they have not complied to the set target. So these properties have not followed the set target. Let's take a look at your food cost goal setting. In the view options, always have it on food cost percentage so that you can make changes in here and not manually in the amount column. So this specific property, the company policy here has been 45%, meaning 45% of food revenue should be food cost. And here we are able to see they don't have anything in the target or the budget. However, they do have figures for last year that we can compare with, as well as then the figure for last month, the actual for January, as well as February live forecast. Then there's administration. This is usually the static hours. So they work, for example, from 8 to 4. And in this specific example, IT, security, finance, and the general manager is included in administration. So if the contract says that the general manager will work 162 hours a month, then 162 hours is what we will put in for the month. And if you want to view all the departments to see how well they are keeping on track with the productivity goals that were set, the management perspective is a great place to start. The report is divided up into 2 sections. On the left, you have your revenue. However, we are focusing on the right here, the hours. So it's focused in on total. And here you can see that on property level, they are doing quite well. They are in line with the productivity levels that were set. Rooms is doing well. Both front office and housekeeping is fine. However, if we move along, we see food and drinks and meeting and events, and these need a closer look. as we need to understand why they are not meeting their productivity goals. You are able to click on the arrow all the way to the right over here and access a specific cockpit to get a more comprehensive picture. More information can be found in the knowledge base article. Thank you and take care.